Look deeply into my eyes. I did that last week, but I had so much fun with it, I thought I'd do it again. Welcome to Austin Dental Spa's Facebook Live and now Instagram Live, too. We're doing both. And so our motto for this month at Austin Dental Spa was don't fall back. And then it was pointed out to me today that I jumped the gun a little bit early that we don't fall back until the first Sunday in November. So, but I don't care. We've already gotten this far in. We're almost through October. We got one more week to go with our Don't Fall Back. And so I've spent the whole month giving you little health tips on how to stop from falling back on your personal hygiene, on your health, on keeping up with yourself, because that's your biggest investment is you. So we're going to do some sensible advice today, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute. But first, I had to make a correction from last week. I feel like the American Statesman, where they come up with these little corrections from a story from the day before. I misquoted last week. I got a little mixed up. The incidence of breast cancer in women is 1 in 8. The incidence of breast cancer in men is 1 in 100 in the United States. And I switched those around because I was already thinking about what I was coming up with next. So anyway, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So if you haven't done anything with your doctor, then be sure that you get a mammogram, ladies, men. You can do a self-examination if you've got any hard lumpy areas or tender areas in your breast area. You should have that checked out. Next month is Men's Prostate Awareness Month, so we'll be talking about that as at least one of the weeks. And I'm going to bring my beard back. I skipped it last year because of COVID and everybody being so freaked out about masks needing to fit tightly on your face. But this November, the beard's coming back in solidarity for all the men that have dealt with prostate cancer. Some of my good friends in the dental world that didn't make it through that struggle. So that's next month. But today we're going to talk about sensible stuff like taste and smell. I know you've heard all the stuff about COVID causing, well, some people, their first indication that they might have COVID was not only did they not feel well, but they had a sudden loss of taste and smell. Why is that? Well, there's a couple of different theories still floating around, but the two most plausible ones are the ACE2 receptors that we've mentioned multiple times on Facebook. These are receptors that are throughout your body, in your nose, in your mouth, in the back of your throat, in your lungs, in your cardiovascular system, your heart and your blood vessels. And it's throughout the body, but they're concentrated in the nasal passages, in your nose, in your eyes, in your mouth. And so that's why all the mask wearing and all the protecting your eyes was such a big deal a year and a half ago, because those ACE2 receptors are the way that COVID gets into your system. The spike proteins attached to that ACE2 receptor, and that's why children aren't as susceptible to COVID as adults, because children up until the age of 18 only have about half the number of ACE2 receptors they develop over the first 18 years of your life. So by the time you're 18, it doesn't change much for the rest of your life, but for the first 18 years of your life, you're still developing them. So kids under the age of 10 have less than 50% of the ACE2 receptors that adults do. So that is a simple explanation for that. But there are two theories going on right now that I find the most plausible. One is that the SARS attacks the receptor cells that support those ACE2 receptors, and that's a separate cell, but the COVID virus attacks them and disables them, and so your sense of smell goes out, and it can also happen with your sense of taste. The other theory that they have not proven conclusively yet, but is that the virus, once it infects your body, creates inflammation, and that the inflammation secondarily shuts off your olfactory senses or your sense of taste and smell. And so either one of those, whether one's right and the other's wrong, or whether they're both a little bit right, doesn't really matter. But that's how you lose your sense of taste or smell with COVID. There are other things that can cause lack of taste or smell. Other diseases and autoimmune diseases, the word I was trying to think of. Autoimmune diseases like lupus, like Crohn's disease, those things can also attack the same areas and cause your lack of taste and smell. A study out of out of Germany actually, proved that 47% of people that were COVID positive had a loss of either taste or smell or both. And the average length of time for those people in Germany, the 47% that were affected by that, the length of time was 8-point-something days. Now, you've heard of long COVID. That's in less than 15% of cases, apparently, that it persists beyond a month. Most people, it returns within a month. So that's where all that's come from. So if you lose your smell, two things can happen. And I did a little research on this myself on Google University today. But there's at least two, if not three things that are affected. One is that your taste, and I had a couple of patients come in that say while they were suffering with COVID, they recovered. Obviously, they were at the dentist's office months later, but they said while they had a lack of taste, everything tasted bland. So they just lost interest in eating because cornbread tasted the same as Mexican food. It was just like a blob of something in their mouth. They felt like they were chewing on cardboard or something. And so they said it really wasn't that much fun eating because something that tasted good didn't taste any different than something that normally tasted bad. So there's a potential that you could get dehydrated or lose some weight the hard way by losing interest in your food. Another one that I found very interesting is it actually is dangerous because if you lose your sense of taste and smell, you cannot smell smoke. If you were in a burning building or if your house caught on fire, you're not going to smell the smoke, that early indicator that there might be a problem. And you also can't taste contaminated or spoiled food. So people are more likely to eat something that they wouldn't have eaten while they had their sense of taste because they could taste it. This milk doesn't taste very good, it must be curdled. Well, they lost that ability, so they couldn't tell. A third one that I thought was kind of interesting because it's on the flip side, things that normally would smell good to you, like fresh baked bread, chocolate chip cookies, a woman's perfume, you're not going to smell those things either. So you lose that happiness aspect to having the pheromones being reproduced when you smell somebody that has on a really nice cologne or perfume. So those are three things that are reasons why your sense of smell is important. They also talked about lack of taste and smell, that zinc supplements helped in a lot of situations with that. There were multiple things that they thought could help, but zinc was one of the most important things that they found that helped people recover from this. So there are also institutes around the country. I just heard of one in up north in like Minnesota. There's a doctor that started an institute of, and I think it's called tasteandsmell.org. And you can find it just by Googling that, Taste and Smell Institute. And he's actually created an institute to help people regain their sense of taste and smell. And they start with simple things like somebody that's paralyzed learning to walk again. You know, they have to walk on the things where they can hold on to a bar. And it's the same thing. They give you salty things and sweet things in small increments and retrain your taste buds for those people that are suffering from long COVID. If it's only a month that it's down before you could even get in to see someplace like that, you're going to have regained it. Some foods that I thought you might be interested in that are rich in zinc: meat, shellfish, legumes like baked beans and stuff, pumpkin seeds. It's that time of year. I had to throw in pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin spice at Starbucks won't do it, but pumpkin seeds have a lot of zinc in them. Nuts, almonds, cashews, and dairy products. Eggs, whole grains, and dark chocolate. I thought you'd like that part. Dark chocolate actually has a pretty good amount of zinc in it. So that's it for the taste and smell thing. So I hope it made sense to you. And my health tip of the week, I always give a health tip. I tied it in, nice little segue. My health tip of the week is pay attention to your senses. If you close your eyes and just take a minute, check out what are you smelling, what do you hear, what do you feel, and then open your eyes and take in what do you see. Because a lot of times we get so busy in this world that we forget to stop and smell the roses along the way. So don't fall behind in that. And I'll see you next week for another version of Wisdom Wednesday.